And good morning, everyone. We are live in the episode 167 of
Mhm.
umbraCoffee. Hi, Callum. How are you?
Hey, Marcin.
How's your
I'm good.
week?
I'm doing good. Busy week, no change, of course. How's your week been?
Oh, yeah. It was a mixture of visiting hospitals, hacking, and not that good deployments. If
Yeah,
I would say that.
yeah.
Oh,
We,
yeah.
we had one of those this week as well. Deployment didn't go so great, but hey, it's
Yeah,
Friday.
it's supposed to it's supposed to be a calm week, but resulted into a series of unfortunate actions. So yeah, generally good, generally good. Uh, so yeah, it was a same as in our community. Always a mixture of things, a lot of new things, a lot of various things. But something what was probably on the top of the list of things which we could observe this week was probably unpredicted trend in
Yeah,
Umbraco community
yeah.
called Umbraco History.
I was really enjoying this. In
Yeah.
fact, even people that didn't realize they were participating in it, looking back over Twitter this past week, there's people who've been posting things that were like, oh yeah, that's a big blast from the past too.
Yeah.
Did it start with the tweet from Dave?
From Dave or from Matt, there was something.
Well, I think
Something.
in the thread where Matt said it would be a great idea to do a talk
Ah, yes, yes. That was the initial point. So yeah,
yeah,
Dave asked about some old project, right, and asked for looked for the source code. Then some memories about Bitbucket come back here, and some discussions started about it, and yeah, it resulted into a hashtag called Umbraco History, and
yeah.
some great stories being highlighted over the couple of days, right?
Yeah, I really like Matt's idea of a talk. Even if maybe it's missed the boat for Code Garden, but as a meetup talk, I'd
Yeah.
love to hear some of the kind of history of what his example of nest. You know about nested content, but actually, did you know that there was things before nested content that did the same thing for
Yeah.
V4 and whatever? It would be awesome to hear that.
Good idea on topic about projects which didn't see the light and weren't
Yeah,
released or something like that, right?
I
Something
could
what you.
I could do a whole feature length movie on projects I've got on my computer that have never been released.
Yeah, I had a talk done on UK Festival once. It was called "Fail Often," do stupid things and learn and repeat. And yeah, it was also referring to some of the projects which weren't that successful at the end of the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure. Maybe we can get some more Umbraco history moments. If you're watching us right now and you're here on YouTube, let us know about your favorite Umbraco moments from the Umbraco history. Callum, your favorite one or your
Oh,
highlight from Umbraco
I
history?
get asked this more than you'd think, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I know. I know.
And I always come back to the umbraCoffee at Code Garden that we did, where
Yeah,
we had
yeah,
an audience for the first time. We had meals, we had coffee in our mugs. It's just I see pictures of that, and it just makes me smile. It's a fantastic memory. But also, I was. This is going to sound really weird and maybe a bit too deep for a Friday lunchtime, but I've kind of realized that the past, let's say 5, 6, 7 maybe years of my work with Umbraco have all centered around a few pivotal key moments, points, and places. And interestingly, so where I live right now in London is incredibly close to where the 2015 UK Fest was in the church. And I know, Marcin, that was a big event for you as well. It's your first Umbraco event, your first
yeah,
time in the UK, and
yeah.
so that was a big thing for you. And for me, that was the point where I joined Cogworks, where I started working in their office, which was literally one road away from that church. And I now live kind of pretty close to that too. And it seems that, yeah, the past few years have all kind of centered around this one thing. It's very, very strange and interesting. But I've done a bit of reflecting the past few weeks and months, and yeah, just thinking about all of those moments, those memories, make me incredibly happy. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think generally, if I'm thinking about Umbraco as a history, I can't imagine not having kind of Umbraco as a checkpoint on my lifetime, right? Because it's like it's a part of life, of part of the last years, and it's really just become something fixed and solid there in the agenda. It's not like something like we can easily change or replace or something like that. That's probably the major part. And I totally agree with you. All of these moments which you've mentioned are also the key moments from my perspective, but every single new one of them is a new, some talks done on various festivals, some great meetups which were done only in 3 people or 4 people here in Poland or in various places around the world. Yeah, that's something what we can always refer to, that no one can take it off from us. That's the beauty. That's the beauty.
I tweeted earlier this week that I'm really lacking motivation for virtual events, and it's definitely because I've done a lot, like you. But I mean, I can't easily show you right now because it's all mounted in front of me. But my setup, I've got lights, I've got a camera, I've got a microphone, and I'm talking to you on a screen. And when I'm doing a talk at a conference, it's just not the same. I'm standing here looking at a screen with some bright lights, and after a while, it's not the same. I want to have a beer with people. I want to, be able to hug and high five and have these amazing moments and memories. And it's often the things you would least expect that are actually your fondest memories of some of these events in community. I cannot wait for this to be a thing again where we can do that in person.
And it's interesting that we've passed a check mark on being 1 year from locked down. So that's it. The history is building again, and it's the different thing. So we can only be grateful that we've been able to do all of these things in the past, because we don't know where and when we'll be back on track and stuff like that. That's the crazy.
I do wonder if let's say 5 years from now we'll be looking back, talking about the Umbraco history, and we'll remember this period, and how we'll remember it. Will it be, kind of an uneasy memory of, okay, we were all locked down, or will it be a memory of how actually the community came together a bit and we did more virtual events and people from all over the world were able to tune into, like, the London meetup or the Leeds meetup, for example? Will it be seen positively, negatively? I don't know. It'd be interesting.
It's very interesting. So yeah, people, if you are having your own history moments and memories, bring them back. Let us all celebrate them and refer to them, because a lot of them, I believe, are crossing over, and we've been participating in all of them together. And yeah, let's build a new history of adjusted history to what we can do right now, and let's see what can help us in bringing it back to the road where we.
Check back in umbraCoffee 573, and we'll summarize all of the things you said right now. And
yeah, we'll be all smiling back to this moment and referring back to this crazy years of being locked. But there was one more nostalgic moment, Callum. You've brought it back, and something what combines Umbraco and some other technology.
Yes.
Which we all love to fight with, and it's Umbraco built on PHP.
I think the thing that maybe some people will be surprised by seeing this here is that PHP has classes and is kind of semi-object oriented as well. So most people give PHP a hard time from their experience of it, like a long time ago, and maybe haven't looked at it since. It's not a bad language to be fair. But yeah, Lee mentioned that he had a PHP macro engine once before. Of course, you used to be able to use Python and Ruby as well with Umbraco. Like, you could do kind of whatever you wanted, which is fun. I'm intrigued at what Dennis is up to here. Is he really trying to bring this back, or is he just keeping a WordPress developer happy?
There are some wrappers, right, and some engines which are translating the various technologies into PHP and the other way around. So a lot of this is possible. And when I'm always getting back to PHP, because I from time to time I have some chances to write some code in PHP. It's not that bad as it was written before, but of course it can get bad as every language, as every program, I would say. But generally, it's a kind of fun environment, and again, it's like being able and also experienced enough to build something cool there, and yeah, Laravel and all of these stuffs are just there to be worked on. It's not our stack, and it's always good to make some jokes from PHP and to fight with some advocates of PHP technologies. So yeah, let's see where the Dennis is going with that, because it's always interesting to see some crazy things done there. But Umbraco is not going to rewrite their engine in PHP yet.
No, let's hope
and
not.
and we've seen.
You can run PHP directly on Azure Web Apps. Like most of these languages are supported directly on most of the hosting platforms you use. So I believe, and maybe someone at HQ is going to shout at me for this, but you can run PHP on Umbraco Cloud. So the host servers have it installed, and you could upload an index PHP file and get a PHP site running on there if you really wanted to.
We can embed WordPress in Umbraco back office as a property editor.
You legitimately could run WordPress on Umbraco Cloud.
Yeah, that's great. But cool. Let's see where Umbraco is going, because we've been seeing a lot of upgrades. We've mentioned the product upgrade last week, and it was scheduling some of the upcoming releases of and patches for various products, and yeah, they are still upcoming. So we can still expect.
Well, some came Tuesday. So all of the updates to Umbraco 8.6 Plus, which is 7 odd versions, have all come out this week, which is great. And I believe there's a new patch coming on Tuesday next week for 8.12.2, which fixes some grid things. Maybe there's a bug in the grid in 8.12.1, so maybe don't upgrade if you're heavily using the grid. But yeah, 6 or 7 updates to Umbraco 8, 3 updates to Umbraco Forms, and 3 updates to deploy this week, which is an insane amount of releases for 1 week.
And again, on schedule, and we can all play around with that. So if we're heavily depending from Forms and deploy, we can expect some upgrades coming this week. And that's from the Umbraco perspective. And package-wise, I've seen you've been also busy this week releasing some of the new versions, and we've also done some work and some results from the initial hacking time in our team. And I've mentioned this package a while ago. I don't know, Callum, if you remember the idea of locking editors from accessing content and simultaneously editing the content.
This is something that's been needed for a long time. It's been discussed. I think a few people have tried to build it. It exists in a lot of other CMSs, especially enterprise platforms. So it's a great idea.
So we've released this version, and it's a little bit evolutionized version from what we've initially thought about it, because I wanted to follow the lead pages approach of informing people that something has changed in between of their changes. But this is a really cool and a really simple implementation at the end, using relations in a Umbraco database table, and enabling editors to lock their pages for editing, and also being in ability to take over the page if you want to edit in behalf of someone else. So yeah, it's getting published. There are some GitHub actions errors which we need to fix, but hopefully by the end of today it will be on NuGet as well. And right now it's open source, so everyone can check it out, fork it out, use it, and just play around with that.
Very nice.
And feedback much appreciated.
Just to come back to this, Marcin, you said this week you did an internal hackathon or something. So is that around this specific package?
No, it was, to be honest, was to finish a lot of ideas which we had internally, and some packages, libraries work which we started. Some of them were already released, like our essentials and some other ones, and some of the other ones are also coming back. This package was worked by me, and I planned to finish this week and release it open source. And there are some various other bits and pieces which will be released sooner or later. So it was really good. We had 2 full days of focus work around hacking in projects. PMs were doing their work. We were cleaning documentations, writing documentation, and doing some other crazy stuff. So yeah, more things to come. This is just a small bit, which
exciting.
Almost.
I saw you tweeted a picture of the Trello board that you've got for your hackathon, and there was a lot of cards on there. Nicely, blurred. I gazed close to try and work out what they were. But I saw the content card thing on there, and that made me really excited. So it's great to see something come out of it.
Yeah, we decided to release a lot to open source. So more things to come. Stay tuned, and definitely I will be updating about the new releases.
Exciting.
Christian also did a next release. this week, and it's another property editor. I don't know if there's any challenge about which we don't know. One property editor a week, 52 editors for a year or something like that.
Creating more packages than Umco in a month.
Oh yeah, of course. Dedication is here. Consistency is a key for delivering that. And Christian just released another package, a really cool one. So text string to parse Markdown, and yeah, we can thanks to this package we can have a text boxes right in Markdown. And I don't know, Callum, about you, but my dream is to have a blog post stored in Markdown in Umbraco back office and everything in Markdown. To be able to transfer it easily, basically.
It's funny because us as developers like Markdown, and I think editors maybe don't because it's a little bit codey and it's not nice and pretty formatting. But if you think about Slack, you do Markdown formatting for things, and same with Trello cards. And I think maybe it's becoming a more accepted way of writing content. And so perhaps with appropriate labels and everything, as Christian's done there, actually we can start to introduce this to a few different audiences too. So I've had to do this kind of thing before, where you need formatting in a single line and it's always a pain. So this is a nice solution for that. But yeah, I wonder.
And still, if you're, for example, copying from Trello to Umbraco, from Umbraco to Trello, that's where it's getting handy, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to see it more widely adopted. I think it would need to be done in a way that it's editor friendly.
Yeah. So yeah, let's test it out and let's use it, and maybe we can get more use cases to use Markdown, not only in text strings, but maybe somewhere wider in Umbraco. And Callum, and Christian also shared some of the
example of how it works.
Yeah. So which is really, really cool. And Callum, you've released a new version of Examine Facets also this week. Can you tell us more about the improvements here?
This one's funny. I did all of these improvements back in September when I did a bunch of pull requests to Examine to get the code cleaner, to make Examine Facets work better, nicer, whatever. So when that was released 2 weeks ago, version 1.1 of Examine came out. I then was able to release my branch. Finally, it targeted all those changes. So it includes a whole bunch of code cleanup, some fixes for some issues where certain bits weren't working before. It also opens the door for a little bit more extensibility in future, which I'm looking forward to. I've got some grand plans there. And I had a lovely contribution from Ronald as well. He's fixed a bug. So just a nice tidy up release.
Yeah, nice release. So yeah, check it out if you're using Facets. And you've mentioned Examine upgrades. So there were two of them released also this week, 2 days ago. 0.2 for Examine, and 1.2 version with some enhancements, some bug fixes, and some of them you've mentioned, right? They were opening.
These are the same enhancements for both both versions, and they've been contributed by Chad, who I'm a big fan of, as I've spoken about him a few times. Do we need a Chad appreciation section of Umbraco?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we will, by the end of this year, we'll end with just appreciation sections, and it will be just this guy, this girl. Yeah, that's amazing.
So Chad here has contributed a few things that just make Examine more performant out of the box, but also for you to use. So you'll be familiar probably with being able to do skip and take on an Examine's search results. They've now got a skip take, which does both internally in Examine. So it's just a little bit more efficient. It's not always appropriate if you want to do like casting the results or getting the iPublish content of those results. It's more appropriate for if you just want the exact Examine search result back, but still decent improvements. And Chad's been making a whole bunch of really, really good performance-based contributions to Examine and to Umbraco. So we're all reaping the benefits of what he's been doing.
Yeah, that's an amazing work. So yeah, definitely. If there's no appreciation section for Chad yet, it's like a big high five as always for contributions like that. And yeah, keep them coming. And yeah, as it's open source, everyone can check it out and see what was improved if you are interested, such as I am right now. Steve also released a health check this week, which is again something what I mentioned probably a while ago. Like, I would love to see more health checks to do some checks, basically, because we can do more of them. We can really run them, schedule them, check some stuff in our existing installations. And this one is extremely helpful when it comes to checking for obsolete data types when we are doing some kind of upgrades of Umbraco versions. And yeah, I haven't used this, and I haven't think about this like a kind of solution for some problems. But I see use case. I see potential in doing more of these.
There was, I think, was it Steve Megson also brought out a package that did similar. I'm not sure if it did a health check. But
yeah, no.
The key that this does, really important thing that this does, is it will migrate archetype to nested content to
migration.
To perform migration, which is incredibly valuable for people upgrading some legacy projects. And I wonder, I guess, with nested content kind of being superseded now by the block list, it's probably a template that we could use to also have some health check that would run that sort of migration. Interesting idea.
Yeah, you probably remember also various health checks which we are doing as a team, kind of, or the health check of the solutions. Imagine having this kind of health checks all written as an Umbraco health checks. Just to scan through the file system, scan through the solution setup, namespaces, namings, conventions. That's on the to-do list, but it's good to see things like that being used for various reasons. And yeah, as Warren said here, it's like an amazing tool for migrating and shortening the path of migration. So yeah, big kudos for Steve for sharing that for sure with us. And another one is a work in progress. From Soren, and that's something what you've mentioned also about the block list being a kind of new way of doing things. And people who might get used to using doctype grid editor package from the past might want to use the same approaches, same patterns, and same.
It's maybe a little known feature of doctype grid editor.
Yeah.
So what we're saying here is you can actually create a controller which inherits from ETG service controller and implement a method that will effectively hijack the rendering of any doctype grid editor, what we call them, component modules, grid editor, and then let you run your own custom code. So it's really nice for keeping your code clean, your views clean, and Soren has done the same for the block list. So you can you'll wire it all up. It's nice.
I think it's really awaited right now, and I remember this thing in the Blender, and I didn't know that something like that exists for the doctype grid editor. But when we switched fully, that was probably the most used feature, which is also the most helpful to keep it clean. So yeah, fingers crossed. And Soren is probably the best person on this place to write it down, to move it to block list, as he has done it previously. So yeah, thanks to this work, we'll be all able to do that. And yeah. Keep updates coming, and we'll definitely release the information when it will be.
I'd love to see this as a PR to core as well, because I think it's going to be universally helpful, probably.
Yeah, that's also something what I thought about. Yeah, let's see where it will go. That's from the releases. Hopefully, we didn't miss anything when it comes to the.
This week, there's a lot of releases. In fact, we had. The past few weeks have been a little bit dry on releases, but I think, people are starting to get excited again. And definitely we'll be talking about this a bit later, but .NET Core is becoming a big focus. People are becoming more interested in that. We're starting to see some blog posts about it. We're starting to see people having a play. I definitely think we're going to be seeing some .NET Core previews of packages coming in the next few months too, which will be really exciting.
Yeah, and also we can all prove ourselves that it's easy and possible to just write libraries and code which can be reused later on and still be valuable right now for the solutions which we are running on Umbraco V8. Blog posts and some of the new things also shared by the community this week. One follow-up from the series which we've mentioned last week, which was Women in Tech. And it was Lauren Maguire highlight being shared exactly when we were running the umbraCoffee last week. So the story of Lauren's involvement into the Umbraco community, all the history behind Everything else tech related and also community related is here. So go and check it out on umbraco.com blog. And that's probably final of the series right now, and hopefully we can see more of them coming.
Yeah, I'd like to see this as a more regular feature. In fact, I probably sound like a broken record when I said this, but I always appreciate when the new profiles are people that we don't know, and they've done a great job the past few years of making that, you know, people from places far away from Europe and the US, which are often focused on. But I'd love to see, the kind of women of the Umbraco community or something featured as a more regular thing. The blog posts are really insightful as well.
Yeah, that's true. And there are more of them on umbraco.com blog, which we'll talk about. Another great blogger, Mark Goodson, shared a new story, which I missed completely, and I need to catch up on this. But it's about editing tabular data in Umbraco V8. And Callum, did you read the whole article, or
I've seen it? Yes. So he's comparing the different solutions for building tables, and of course, the rich text editor is a nightmare out of the box, shall we say? So he's been using Dang's Umbraco table solution to build up a kind of matrix of table, which is pretty nice. But then he goes on to talk about what if actually your table is maybe a little bit more dynamic or flexible in different languages. And so, here's an example of him using the block list editor to actually achieve that, which is a nice idea. So he's got a custom block view, which we've seen as I think Soren, again, hey Soren, did his 20 days
replacement
British thing. So a really nice example of how with relatively little code you could build a dynamic table editor experience for exactly their needs.
That's great, and yeah, I haven't been using tables for a while to be honest, but I remember the pain of editors who wanted to customize them, to maybe style them, to maybe do something else with them, not only place the data in the structured rows and columns. So it's seeing it done on top of the doc type new block list editor seems like a doors open for a bunch of opportunities to extend the functionality of the simple tables to build some more crazy tables.
But also twin this with the thing we were just talking about from Soren, having a nice view model that you can present. Well, in the case of a table, you do really just want it to be a list of values. You probably don't want all of the complexity. So with Soren's work, you could bury all of that away and have it in a nice controller somewhere, and it just renders the one cell, the collection of cells.
Nice. Yeah. So thanks, Mark, for sharing this story, and definitely it will open some eyes on using block lists for various other things like just blocks, right? In this case. Also, Purnima shared a blog post this week about
busy this week. Very busy.
Yeah, very busy. And again, it's tackling the new Unicore Alpha 3 with Web API in this case, and it's again building this kind of applications controlling with some controllers and various other things for the Carnatic music demo store here. And I can just scroll through this article. It's a really complex and really contentful article highlighting how to do that, how it works, and at the end of the day, it works, right? Using the new Alpha 3 version.
Purnima's all of the boxes here because she's got custom web APIs and controlling, requesting that on the front end. A Blazor WASM app. She's got a Umbraco on .NET Core. She's got building like a headless content structure and all of that. She's kind of covered everything here, which is amazing. And her previous post as well on .NET Core was incredibly valuable too. I think her blog's going to become a gold mine over time.
Yeah, that's great to see people from the community testing and using and proving that it's it's kind of ready for various use cases already, and of course the work is not stopped, it's still pending, so more of this to come. And yeah, headless approach, Blazor combination, still something what I didn't even touch yet in my development at all. So yeah, great to see how it can be done, and yeah, it just proves that Umbraco is getting there.
Yeah, and when we had Purnima on, I think actually it was when you were away, Marcin. We had Purnima on, and I was talking about Blazor because, of course, she's a big advocate of Blazor. She's done a load of talks about it and how to integrate it with Umbraco. And personally, I've shied away from it. I'm worried that it's going to be another Silverlight or proprietary technology that I'm really going to want to pick up.
YAML driven.
Yeah. But to be fair, if anyone was interested, this is a fantastic resource to go and get started and at least try it and go, actually, maybe this does make sense. I think a big part of the fear for me is having to learn all this, technology, terminology. I said WASM a minute ago, and people probably go, "What the hell is that?" But until you've done enough reading, you may not know. And Purnima's articles are very detailed and do give you a nice, simple introduction to these topics. So perhaps maybe I'll give this a go now. Maybe. Maybe.
And also when we see bridges like that for people who are, I don't know, maybe stuck into Umbraco for a while, or were doing only Umbraco development in the last 5 years, it's like getting out from the cage or something like that, and seeing how world evolved in between of these times, and being able to combine those two words, like here Umbraco back office with some web API and some new fancy frameworks on the top of the rendering there. It's like easier definitely to relate to when it comes to just getting used to that. So yeah, Purnima, we know you are watching, so keep them coming and share your experiences if you'll build anything more using the Alpha 3, Alpha 4, and other alphas. Just share it, and we will definitely push it forward as well.
For sure.
And another headless approach, which we've also mentioned, coming from Proworks team, a series of how to set up an Umbraco.NET Core headless CMS using Gridsom and Vue.js, which is a perfect title.
All buzzwords.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's perfect for a submission for some conferences across the globe. It tackles everything.
I think there was a meme going around on Twitter. It was like two cave people. One of them with a wheelbarrow going like with all these boxes on it, and it had all of these different technologies. And someone said, "Is that all you're using to build your personal blog?" It's like 50 different things, but it's true. This is what the web has turned into.
But it's changing. It's like 2 years ago, we've seen a lot of talks about the new fancy frameworks, microservices, and so on. Right now, it's like, do you really need it to run it, right? Or simplified architecture. Last time, I saw some startuppers right now, last week or 2 weeks ago, who said that their whole SaaS system was built on one VM, which is kind of crazy for people who are architecture driven right now, right? It was one VM handling hundreds of thousands of requests daily, right? And it was doing great, right? So it's not always needed, but yeah, it's like Konrad Kokosa, you know Konrad, asked a while ago when he was submitting talks to the conferences, what kind of buzzwords I can put to the title to make it accepted? And it was some great ideas there. But no, this title is real. To not determine the value of this, because it's like really a great series from Proworks team on how to set up this kind of application, and I like the details of this kind of publications, diagrams, all the descriptions, all the plan for all the parts, and we are on the part 2 and part 3 after this week. So and yeah, Proworks team is extensively working right now on GraphQL community package. So it's being involved into this setup, and yeah, the series just proves how it can be used, where it's handy, how to set it up, and details are amazing here. So again, if you are free or new in this kind of topic, you don't know anything, you can easily go step by step just by reading this tutorial and just setting it up, and it just works. So it's great series, and yeah, more to come. And if you are interested in running headless core version of Umbraco combined with GraphQL and some fancy frameworks for frontend, another resource is here. And yeah,
there's
kudos
two more.
to
I think it's a
Proworks.
5-part series, so there's probably 2 more posts in this series coming, and they've been churning them out in quite rapid succession. I didn't feature it last week because I think we'd only just had the first one, but now we've got 3, and it's a pretty complete set of reading. And yeah, like it says here, next would be integrated with external search service to provide some of the functionality that we would normally have had we been using like a self-hosted single VM type thing, Examine or whatever. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. We've been talking about Purnima's blogs, but there's one more to highlight. So yeah, you said
really busy.
And I really like the combination of Harry Potter and Umbraco Hardcore here. So this one was released on Umbraco blog, so yeah, the magic shared here is on working with Umbraco Hardcore as a source of the data, and again, more headless approach, and some setups for functions, and HTTP client released by Umbraco as well to consume data from Hardcore. So yeah, still not that many use cases, case studies being shared about Hardcore, and I would love to see more of them. It's like it's always the same discussion on where we can use it, or is this a use case for that? So seeing them, for me at least, is always an inspiration to oh yeah, maybe when I will be thinking about something like that in the future, that's where we can keen towards this kind of solution or architecture. So yeah, great stuff again.
And the thing I'd love to just draw our attention to as part of this, Purnima's was not just building a website with .NET Core here. This is a system based on Google Dataflow and an Azure function. So she's using an Azure function to provide an API basically that you can interact with. And so this entire thing is hosted on an Azure function that's then called by some external service to provide, the kind of the integration. So no UI, Dialogflow. That's it. It's the thing that backs Google Assistant and all of these assistant tools. I think you can use it with the Alexa platform as well. But yeah, incredibly good example.
Yeah, and we will see more of them for sure, because functions getting more and more love from MS. We will be talking about it soon, and definitely it also opens us as the developers to use them more extensively in the solution. So
should we talk about functions now, because I mean it's on the list?
Yeah, we can. I was going to switch to this kind of URL right now, because Callum wrote back before we went live the community stand-up. When it was streamed, it was this week.
This was just over a week ago.
March 11th. Yeah, March 11th. Yeah.
So people may not know too much about this. If you're very deep in the Umbraco community, you may not be too deep in the .NET community. But the .NET team, the people who are building the .NET language, .NET runtime, and designing the C#, F# languages, they do a weekly, I think, stand-up, community stand-up, and it's online and it's live streamed. You can ask questions and get them answered by some pretty senior, high-up people at Microsoft. And I wanted to highlight this specific episode. It's an hour long. Who would think to do weekly videos that are an hour long? But you've got Mads, who's the kind of lead language designer on C#, and he's explaining why they build certain features in certain ways, the thought process behind like the syntax that they've chosen, and the kind of technical stuff of what's going on behind the scenes, what the compiler is actually doing there. It's a really, really interesting thing to watch. Highly recommend going to watch this. Sorry. It's the kind of thing you can have on in the background as well whilst you're working on something.
Some podcast-like content here about the C#. And Callum, you've mentioned that also from this or from other discussion, they came out to the new announcements on some functions and also app services upgrades, which are which being shared this week, last week, yeah, also
Last
10th
week.
of
So there was
March.
a bit of
And
criticism for Microsoft because when they launched .NET 5 back in November, Azure Functions did not support .NET 5. It only supported .NET Core 3.1. And that's a bit of a strange thing to do, isn't it? To launch your kind of flagship here's our new framework, and one of our major products doesn't support it. So this blog post, which we'll put below, goes into the details of why it didn't support it out of the gate and what they're doing to combat this. And I think that what they're doing to combat this is a really interesting thing. Firstly, they're going to tie Azure Functions, the platform now, to the specific long-term support versions of the framework. So that makes a lot of sense. So as .NET 5 is not long-term support, that's not officially natively supported by Azure Functions. But what they've done is they've got this way to create an isolated process that Azure Functions connects to. So you can run any .NET application, in fact, just like a console app, write a .NET console app in .NET 5, upload it to Azure Functions, and point your function at that console app. There's, I think, one library you need to install to make this work. And it works. So it's effectively the connector between the functions runtime, which is responsible for taking a request and sending that to your code for it to be executed. So the link between that and just a process running somewhere. So this opens a lot of potential for, you could potentially have a PHP function that runs, and all that they need really is a piece of code on the Azure Function side that knows how to call PHP or how to talk to a PHP process. But it doesn't really matter, provided you talk the same language. You output stuff to a console, or you respond via a web API. Your process can talk to functions now. So there's no longer this tight coupling of language to the functions runtime, completely separated. And this is a model that I kind of adopted as well when I was building Sidecar, so that we want to decouple our Umbraco event logic from all of the stuff that's needed to run it in the first place. It's great to see that model mature, but even better to see that it's kind of something that's natively going to be supported in functions.
Yeah, that's as I've said, it's like extremely important if you want to really learn something new and to also understand why it might got changed or might got simplified. But from now on, if you will start right now, it can just get simplified. So that's a good sign. Yeah. So yeah, it's great to see these updates. And you've also mentioned one more update from a Microsoft ecosystem. It's about managed certificates preview. Which is finally here.
Let's Encrypt, don't they? Where you can via a command line tool, or actually via a UI client you can install on your server, you can generate free certificates, which is great. People don't need to pay for SSL anymore. This is a big kind of campaign, and of course Umbraco supports this directly on cloud as well with Latch and now with Cloudflare. But through Azure, did you know that you can have completely free SSL certificates? And as of last week, they also support Apex domains, the root of your domain. So you can have example.com, www.example.com. As long as you can prove you own the domain, they'll give you an SSL for it. Completely free, run it on all of your Azure app services. So there's just no excuse for not having an SSL certificate anymore. If you're running on Azure, it's one click, one button. If it's cloud, it's one click, one button.
And as I've mentioned, this problematic deployments this week, the issues were caused by the SSL certificates not being referenced correctly and not being possible to be referenced correctly. And thanks to this kind of mechanisms or shared certificates and key vaults, all the Azure crazy possibilities which should be used and right now are easier to be used, we can avoid these issues. So that's a good thing to see. And yeah, let's just make it more clear, more easy to be used, and more widely used. And we should be all more secure, and just do it the right way. So great stuff here.
Definitely.
So we've highlighted hardcore, we've highlighted this kind of things. Time for the Dennis Adolfi appreciation time section.
Sure, let's do that. So Dennis is going to be doing a talk at the Leeds meetup in the coming weeks. I think on the 6th of April. He'll be doing a talk version of one of the blog posts he's been doing of getting started with unit testing in Umbraco. And this looks great, and I'm going to try and attend. 39 people already. That's good.
39 people signed up. That's a huge number. So that's great. And you said that there was one more blog post this week about
well, so yeah, it's funny because given that we were both having some fun, shall we say, with deployments this week, Dennis
oh yes, definitely
very aptly wrote a blog post about it's Adolfi.dev.
Yeah, Adolfi that.
He very aptly wrote a blog post about stress-free deployments.
Yes, stress-free production deployments.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to check it out, how to tackle the stress-free deployments, and yeah, 60% of the time deployments work every time. I would say even if you are thinking that in 99% of deployments they are going stress-free, because of course you are prepared for almost everything. This 1% is always the changing the perception of that. But yeah, thanks to blog posts like that, thanks to stories like that, and I still want to summarize what happened really and share how we approach that and why it happened to help other people reduce this percentage gap in having stressful deployments, because that shouldn't be stressful.
That's a nice idea. The fact that we on a daily basis we deal with incidents in running hosting our applications. Someone like Umbraco, whenever cloud goes down, there's a problem, we expect some kind of incident report. But wouldn't it be cool if we could just open source incident analysis? We go, hey, we actually had this issue last week, and here's what we did to resolve it. For the sake of knowledge for the community. Maybe something.
Yeah, I came out with this idea internally, and I really think it's kind of easy to be shared right now. So like whenever we had a problem, we called it as a post-mortem note or description to help us all deal with it maybe in the future, because we know that some of the problems are replicated in the future. But if you are making the same mistake more than once, it's like you didn't learn, and we need to learn from the mistakes which we've done. So yeah, I think we can do something with this idea and create something like that, which might be helpful, because I believe all of us are going through the issues, and yeah, if we can shorten this path of not replicating them again, it's like it's always good to help each other like that.
For sure.
And last but not least, there was also a new hire in Umbraco HQ this week. A sports fan joined the suits team. So another help. Is Brian based in Maryland in the US?
Yeah, he's based in the US.
Yeah, so that's a great addition in this kind of place and area of Umbraco interests. And as usual, Umbraco highlights the story and some behind the scenes information about the new team member. So yeah, hi Brian, and we will definitely see more of actions on US markets if this team is growing and expanding there.
Indeed.
So yeah, that's all the things you've figured the ribbon down there. We can again, thanks for everyone who spotted the link to buy us a coffee and fix how to make it work without the crazy encoding strings added by YouTube in the description. So yeah, it was a surprise for us that so many people decided to support us. Thank you all again, and yeah, if you all decide that it's something what you want to do and supply us some coffee, that's always welcome. And yeah, as usual, I will be off in the beginning of the next week, but I should be back on Friday, hopefully. Yeah, I will be back. Hopefully, I will be lying on the next Friday, umbraCoffee, but that might be fun. So
from a hospital bed.
No, I'm getting out from the hospital on Tuesday in theory, but I should be probably lying for the whole week. But yeah, that will be fun. That will be fun. So yeah, thank you all for watching us. As always, the call to action is share it with your friends, colleagues, anyone who might benefit from that and wants to learn what happened in Umbraco in the last week. Like, subscribe if you are not doing it yet, and yeah, join us on the next week.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Cheers and bye-bye.